In 2007, he came out with a reality show called Gotti's Way. And Gotti's Way was only 2 seasons, but those 2 seasons showed me an intimate view on what it looked like to decouple, what it looked like to attempt to co-parent, the differences between what a mother felt that the family needed and what she needed as an individual, and what the father thought he needed to do to be a provider and to keep his family together.
I want to be with her, but then a part of me is like, you know what? I think I've outgrown you.
The women that you're with, you refer to them as scallywags.
Oh my goodness! Did you hear the latest tea? Child CH Child? Is there going to be a tell-all Irv Gotti documentary coming our way? Because his ex-wife is done staying silent and she is absolutely spilling everything about how Irv completely tore their family apart. All for the love of Ashanti. I mean, have you seen how many interviews Irv Gotti has done about his so-called relationship with Ashanti? The man literally cannot keep her name out of his mouth for even 5 minutes. And when Ashanti paid him dust and wouldn't even consider working with him professionally, honey, he had a complete meltdown. We're talking full-blown tantrum that would make a toddler look composed. Now Deb is revealing that his nasty attitude and absolute obsession with Ashanti completely poisoned their relationship from the inside out. And trust me when I say, she paid for loving him and trying to keep their family together. The price tag on that loyalty, her dignity, her self-respect, and years of her life that she'll never get back. Let me break this messy, messy situation down for you piece by scandalous piece.
There's no boundaries. Like, he comes, we're there, we're available. He's living 2 lives, and for me, it doesn't make sense.
You have found that woman. It might not have lasted, but you have
She's
found...
definitely a special one, but she wasn't special enough for me to stop.
So here's the piping hot tea. Irv Gotti and Deb Lorenzo finally finalized their divorce back in 2013 after being together for an entire decade. And let me tell you something. People were always saying Deb was absolutely foolish for staying with a man who treated her like yesterday's garbage. The disrespect was astronomical. This man disrespected her right in front of their innocent children. Can you even believe the audacity? He would mock her about her education as if she wasn't good enough and tell their daughter she should be doing better than her mother, planting those seeds of division in their own home. The audacity, the complete and utter disregard for her feelings. But from what Deb's been saying recently in these explosive interviews, things weren't always this toxic and unbearable. When she and Irv got married back in 2003, she genuinely thought she knew what she was signing up for. Him traveling around the country, making deals, bringing in money, while she took care of their beautiful home and raised their children with love and care, a traditional arrangement that many couples have. What she didn't expect, what no woman would ever sign up for, was the revolving door of women that Irv continuously brought into their lives. It was like Grand Central Station, but for his mistresses. The disrespect of it all, the complete humiliation, and what made it truly messy and completely unforgivable. Irv genuinely believed with his whole chest that he wasn't doing anything wrong. He had the nerve, the absolute nerve to act like Deb was crazy for thinking she could be the only woman to satisfy him. Like monogamy was some outrageous expectation in a marriage. I cannot with this man. The entitlement is just beyond anything I've ever seen.
Still married, but we were separated when they were dating. I was used to it from the beginning, like him going and traveling. I just wasn't used to the women. That was like new, like, where did these hoes come from?
You know,
You wanted people to forgive you when you do stuff?
Don't talk about the cheat. I'm a good chip off the old block, aside from the infidelities. You know, in my crazy mind, I thought that was life. This is my wife, this is my family, but this bitch is here to suck my
Child, the nerve. Their relationship was beyond dysfunctional. We're talking toxic with a capital T. And we all got a front row seat to the mess when their reality show Gotti's Way aired back in 2007. The cameras caught everything, and it was painful to watch this woman being diminished day after day. But Deb still tried. She stayed, holding on to hope like it was the last lifeboat on the Titanic, thinking that Irv would eventually change and become the husband she deserved. Deb actually tried to divorce Irv when she first discovered his cheating, as any self-respecting woman would, but she had their precious children to consider. Their eldest son, Sonny, didn't want his parents to split up. He wanted that family unit to remain intact, and what mother doesn't listen when her child is hurting? And I have to admit, even with all his flaws as a husband, and there were many, Irv was a good father to their kids. That's the one area where I can't fault him. He even adopted Deb's daughter as his own flesh and blood and never treated her differently from his biological children. That level of acceptance is rare, especially in blended families where step-parents often struggle to fully embrace children that aren't biologically theirs. In fact, Deb's daughter had no idea that Irv wasn't her biological father until she heard it from someone outside their home. The family kept it so tight that even the child herself didn't know. But even after that potentially earth-shattering revelation, Irv made sure their relationship didn't change one bit. He continued to be the father figure in her life without missing a beat. While he was constantly traveling for business, building his empire and chasing fame, Irv made a point to come home on weekends to see the children, attend their school events, their sports games, their recitals, all the things a dedicated father should prioritize. He never missed the important moments in their lives, and the children adored him for that consistency. But here's the thing that breaks my heart for Deb. He was only there for the kids, nothing more. The moment the children went to bed, it was like he checked out emotionally from his role as a husband. There was no romance, no partnership, No emotional intimacy between them anymore, just two people existing in the same space connected only through their children. Unfortunately, his weekend visits gave Deb false hope every single time. She would see him being such an amazing father and think, this is the man I married, he's still in there somewhere? She genuinely believed she could save her marriage, that things would eventually turn around if she just loved him enough, if she was patient enough, if she was understanding enough. It's the trap so many women fall into, thinking they can change a man who has no interest in changing. And as for all those women rotating through his life, they would come and go like seasonal employees, with no one in particular capturing Irv's attention long term. They were disposable to him, which somehow made it even worse. He wasn't even leaving Deb for love. He was risking his family for meaningless flings. Well, that is until Ashanti strutted into the picture with her talent and beauty. Ashanti quickly became the crown princess of Murder Inc. Her sultry songs were climbing the charts faster than anyone could track, and brand deals were pouring in from every direction. The girl was booked and busy. Irv couldn't stop talking about all the money and moves he and Ashanti were making together, practically gushing over her in every conversation, while poor Deb was stuck at home with the kids, listening to her husband praise another woman. Eventually, Irv started spending more and more time in the studio. And we all know in the studio can mean a lot of things in the music industry. He transformed from a weekend dad to barely a part-time father, rather than sharing the full responsibility of raising their children, as he had promised. Then the rumors started flying faster than private jets that Ashanti and Irv were doing way more than just making music and money together. When Irv appeared on the Wendy Williams show, and we all know Wendy doesn't play when it comes to getting the truth, he actually shut down claims that Ashanti was a homewrecker. He claimed they were genuinely in love and only got together after he and Deb were separated. He tried to rewrite history to make himself look better, but the timeline just wasn't adding up. But here's the real truth that Deb is finally exposing. Deb and Irv's relationship only started crumbling like a cookie when Irv and Ashanti got a little too close for comfort. They were spending late nights together, texting constantly, and the chemistry between them was obvious to everyone with eyes. The timeline isn't adding up, honey. Something was definitely going on behind closed studio doors while Deb was still very much his wife. Things went from bad to catastrophic when Ashanti eventually dumped Irv and moved on with Nelly. That was a situation Irv could never recover from. His ego was shattered into a million pieces. Imagine being left for another man when you thought you were the prize. And since Ashanti wouldn't give him the time of day anymore, wouldn't even look in his direction at industry events, he allegedly started taking all his frustrations out on his wife, Deb.
Made those records. You know what I'm saying? Like, she wrote them, but she wrote them with the help of me telling her what to write. And all of y'all, whoever knows me, I don't lie. I'm not a liar. I'm gonna spritz it up and jazz it up. Is this the camera?
Yes.
Ashanti, you cannot spritz it up. You cannot jazz it up. The minute you put some spritzy and jazz it up, it's not a cover. So when it's not a cover, now it has to come back to me to clear it.
She became the punching bag for his wounded pride. Irv didn't even try to hide his feelings about Ashanti from his family. He became incredibly disrespectful toward Deb, making snide comments and comparisons, even when their innocent children were right there witnessing everything. The psychological damage this must have caused those kids, seeing their father treat their mother with such contempt. It was like Deb became his emotional dumping ground for all the bitterness and resentment he felt toward Ashanti for rejecting him. And what made it even more problematic and kept Deb trapped in this unhealthy situation, Deb and the kids completely relied on Irv for everything they needed: financial support, housing, education, their entire lifestyle. Deb didn't have a career of her own or enough money saved up to move out and start a new life independent from Irv's influence and control. And Irv? Oh, he knew that dependency and took full advantage of the situation. He wielded that financial power like a weapon to keep her in line. Before Irv confirmed that he and Ashanti were seeing each other, everyone in the industry assumed she was either involved with Ja Rule or someone else at the label. The rumors were flying, but nothing was confirmed. But when Irv went on national television and told millions of viewers that he was the one in love with Ashanti, child, he blew the gates wide open. He might as well have taken out a billboard in Times Square announcing it to the world. After that shocking revelation, Irv became even more confident, or should I say arrogant, in talking about the other women he'd been with in Hollywood. It was like opening Pandora's box of infidelity. He bragged about giving Superhead her infamous nickname and made it crystal clear that he felt entitled to cheat with as many women as he wanted because it was all part of the game of being in the music industry, as if fidelity was optional when you reach a certain level of success. It was one thing for Deb to deal with Irv's cheating when only a few people knew about it, when she could at least maintain the appearance of a happy marriage and some dignity in public. But now that he had broadcast their private business to the entire world and wouldn't stop talking about it, even for the sake of their family and children who had to go to school and face their peers knowing what their father had said, Deb finally realized their marriage was completely beyond saving. The public humiliation was the final straw that broke the camel's back. After years of disrespect behind closed doors, now the whole world knew how little he valued their marriage vows. She couldn't pretend anymore. She couldn't make excuses for him anymore. She couldn't shield her children from the truth anymore. With her head held high and her dignity intact, she packed up her things, left the home they had built together, and never looked back. And honestly, that was the best, most empowering decision she could have made for herself and for her children, because Irv never stopped his toxic behavior or showed any remorse for the pain he caused. At 48 years old, an age when most men have matured and settled down, he was still talking about wanting a freaky ride or die who would have his children and let him do whatever he wanted without question. The man never grew up. He wanted all the benefits of a committed relationship without any of the responsibility or accountability that comes with it. And he remained obsessed with Ashanti until the day he passed away, bringing her up in interviews even years after their relationship ended. He simply couldn't let go of what he perceived as the one who got away. Now people are speaking up about what Deb has bravely revealed, saying, Irv Gotti beat the feds in a $1 million money laundering trial, but instead of telling that impressive story, he chooses to talk about sleeping with Ashanti 20 years ago. They're pointing out the hypocrisy. They say women act on emotion and can't let things go, yet an emotional man will do 32 separate interviews about a woman who hasn't typed a single sentence about him or acknowledged his existence in years. The obsession was real, and it was uncomfortable to witness. But what I really want to know right now is how you feel about all of this drama. Was Deb right to stay as long as she did for the sake of the children? Should she have left sooner? And what about Irv's behavior? Is this typical in the music industry, or was he particularly disrespectful even by industry standards? Sound off in the comments below and don't hold back. I want to hear all your thoughts. And while you're at it, make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe because you know the drama won't stop coming. And I'll be right here to break it all down for you. Turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, baddies.